Imagine a 10-year-old child. They're watching cartoons, eating sweets, laughing with friends, and yet they've already taken someone else's life with their own hands. There are far more such children in history than is commonly thought. And the most terrifying thing is that most of them felt neither fear nor regret after what they did. Nothing at all. Scientists call this a complete lack of empathy. In simple terms, such a child simply doesn't feel the pain of others as their own. Not because they're evil. Their brain is wired differently. This isn't movie villainy. It's a developmental disorder. Some children are born with these brain characteristics. Others acquire them due to abuse in their early years. The area of the brain responsible for compassion in such children barely reacts to the suffering of others. Scans show that where there should be activity, there's complete silence. Outwardly, they look completely normal. They smile, joke, get good grades. No one around them even suspects what's going on inside such a person. That's why they're so difficult to spot in advance. They don't look like monsters. They look like your neighbor, classmate, or just the kid down the street. Psychologists say that if such a child isn't identified early and intervention isn't initiated, the likelihood of tragedy only increases over time. Early intervention really does change the outcome. In 1968, something happened in Newcastle, England that literally stunned even seasoned investigators. A 10-year-old girl named Mary strangled two small boys. One was 3, the other 4. Just like that. No reason. She simply wanted to know what it was like. During interrogations, she behaved calmly, even curiously. She recounted every detail without a single tremor in her voice. Investigators couldn't tell whether they were dealing with a child or someone else entirely. She went to the parents of one of the victims and asked when the funeral would be. She wanted to attend, not out of grief, but out of simple curiosity about what was happening. Neighbors recalled Mary as friendly and talkative. No one noticed anything strange. An ordinary girl with an ordinary smile, until the truth came out. The court found her guilty. But sending a 10-year-old to prison isn't just a legal question. It's a question of what to do with such a person. Mary spent more than 10 years in closed institutions. After her release, she was given a new name and a new identity. Now she lives among ordinary people, and no one knows the truth. Her story became a turning point for the British justice system. After it, the country began to seriously consider how to try a child for murder and whether it was possible to redeem him. In 1993, a CCTV camera captured a strange scene in a British shopping mall. 2 10-year-old boys taking a 2-year-old child somewhere. The child's name was James. His mother turned away for just a few seconds. That was enough. The boys took him several kilometers, and what happened next is still being studied by experts around the world. They abused him for several hours. Then, they left him on the tracks. When investigators examined the scene, they couldn't believe that 10-year-olds had done all this. During interrogation, each blamed the other. One cried. The other remained silent. But the evidence was irrefutable. Their faces were clearly captured on the same footage from the shopping mall. When the verdict was announced, the crowd outside the courthouse shouted and demanded reprisals. The victim's parents wanted him dead. The judge sentenced him to a closed juvenile correctional school until he came of age. Upon release, both were given new identities, new biographies, and state protection. One of them later broke the law again. The second is believed to be living quietly somewhere under an assumed name. This case changed the laws of several countries at once. It forced society to ask a question that remains unanswered. At what age does a child bear full responsibility for their crime? Why is a seemingly normal child capable of murder? Hundreds of scientists around the world have studied this question, and the answer is immediately uncomfortable for everyone. In the overwhelming majority of cases, something terrible happened in the family. Beatings, humiliation, complete indifference on the part of parents. In such an environment, the child's brain restructures itself to survive and loses the ability to feel the pain of others. But there are cases where everything seemed fine. A good family, caring parents, and yet the child still displayed cruelty from a very early age. This speaks to the characteristics with which they are born. Scientists have discovered that in some such children, the connections between areas of the brain are structured differently. Their pleasure center is activated not by closeness and warmth, but by the feeling of control over another being. Cruelty to animals, arson, sadistic fantasies. These are not just childish pranks, they are alarm signals. And when adults ignore them, the child concludes that they are allowed to do anything. Early identification of such children truly saves lives. But in most countries, the necessary system either doesn't exist at all, or it's only activated after a tragedy has already occurred. Special tests can identify dangerous developmental disabilities as early as 6 or 7 years old. The problem is, no one wants to label a child with such a condition. Meanwhile, time continues to tick. What happens to child killers when they grow up and gain freedom? In most countries, they are given new documents, and they literally disappear into the crowd. The law in such cases reliably protects their identity. No public lists, no warnings to neighbors. Such a person can live in your neighborhood, and no one will know. Some truly do change. Psychologists say that if you begin deep and competent work early, there is a real chance for a normal life. Not for everyone, but for many. But the data is alarming. Among those who committed serious crimes as children, repeat offenses are significantly more common than among the general population. A number of countries are attempting to create closed databases accessible only to law enforcement agencies. But human rights activists block this, citing the right of every person to start life with a clean slate. Society is divided. Some demand complete control over such people forever. Others insist that if a person has served their time and has been rehabilitated, they have the right to a second chance. This issue has not been resolved anywhere in the world. Where the line lies between protecting society and the right to a new life, no one knows. And former child killers continue to grow up. Subscribe to the channel and watch other episodes. This is important.